1,600, that is the number of Canterbury homeowners with earthquake claims still open with EQC. About 100 homeowners turned up to a meeting organised by EQC Fix in Christchurch last night, all with stories of home repair hell, botched repairs or seemingly never-ending arguments with EQC, Southern Response or their private insurer. They were all tired and wondering why they still had to fight more than 9 years on from the first Canterbury earthquake. Our video journalist Logan Church travelled to Christchurch to speak to those still fighting for what they believe they're entitled to.
Vicky Ann Parker is known as a local hero in Christchurch. Her charity, New Zealand Gifts for Love and Strength, wrangled hundreds of volunteers in the wake of the mosque attacks to support victims. But at her home, which she shares with her small dog Chloe, all is not well. Vicky bought the small house in 2012 for $311,000, knowing there were some earthquake repairs to be done. The driveway was cracked and the walls needed to be patched up. She says EQC sent contractors out early on to do that work, which was done for about $21,000 plus $7,000 for the driveway and paths. But in the months and years since, Vicky started noticing things go wrong.
Definitely there's more cracking appearing. Obviously, the door handles haven't been fixed, the wardrobes keep popping, the drive is cracking again, so it's ongoing. I suspect that my ring foundations are possibly a wee bit cracked as well.
Paint on ceiling corners is starting to crack, nails can be felt popping out in the bathroom. Door locks that were there before the repairs have just been painted over. Wallpaper is also bunching in the corner of the walls, a worrying sign that the wall could be moving. Outside, the large cracks in the driveway that were filled seem to be getting larger, and the filling itself is breaking apart.
So I have finally decided, because I saw that EQC were looking at closing off, that you could apply for a review of your repairs, and I thought, no, time has come for me to have another say.
Vicky went back to EQC last week. She tells me she knows her house isn't the worst in Christchurch, but she is worried these problems might one day turn into a bigger problem. And that is something she is not in a position to deal with.
And I also fight on a daily basis with Lyme disease and co-infections like Bartonella and Babesia. So, yeah, it is a struggle, but putting things in perspective, if I don't get things fixed and reassessed at the moment, they'll never get assessed. And should I decide to sell one day, the next person's going to end up with the issues that I've currently got, and that's not right in my eyes.
Vicky's claim has now been reopened at EQC. She is just one of hundreds of people who still have open claims. At last count, more than 9 years on, there were 1,600 left from the Canterbury earthquake sequence. And many of those homeowners came to a public meeting last night at the Transitional Cathedral in central Christchurch to hear from lawyers Peter Woods and Grant Cameron, insurance advocate Dean Lester, quantity surveyor Stu Harrison, and outgoing EQC Deputy Chief Executive Renee Walker. It's the 7th such meeting organised by EQC Fix since the quakes. Attending were about 100 homeowners, all of them tired, all of them stressed, all of them wondering why they had to be here 9 years on.
When you talk about empathy, you know, EQC classed me as vulnerable. Why should I still be here? And you trying to talk in generalities to me, you know, it just doesn't make sense.
I agree, so that's why I would like to try and help. And I can't speak to what's happened before because I'm not sure of the specifics, but I would like to try and help, so let's have a conversation.
It's not what's happened before, it's what's happening now.
But Renee Walker began with giving the crowd an update as to just how many people are still with EQC.
So we're now down to under 1,600 claims, which for those 1,600 people is still a lot. So I'm not saying that that's a good or a bad figure. There's still 1,600 people with unresolved claims, so that's not great. But we have resolved more than 2,500 over the last 4 months.
Much was also talked about the unsold ex gratia payment announced by the government in August last year. The aim of that was to help homeowners who bought a house only to find later on undiscovered or botched earthquake repairs, and repairs would cost more than the $115,000 cap EQC would pay out. So far, 625 expressions of interest have been received by EQC for this, with 561 of those qualifying. The cut-off for expressions of interest is August this year. But many here expressed concern about the seeming lack of accountability for why homeowners ended up as either an unsold or seemingly stuck in insurance limbo. High-profile Christchurch lawyer Peter Woods is among them.
Here we are more than 9 years on. That system of delay, deny, defend was used, in my view, by most insurers, and most of them have cheated people out of their rightful entitlements. I think the only way you can continue to try and get some accountability is to stand your ground, call out an insurer when they fail to fulfil their obligations, or when they've acted in bad faith, or when it's engaged in misleading and deceptive conduct. Otherwise, there will never be any accountability.
In the audience was Frances Smeckel. She has been arguing with Southern Response about how to re-repair her 3.5-bedroom family home in Bowenvale Valley. Its foundation was badly damaged in the quakes, as well as the drainage, the roofs and the driveway.
I guess it went through the first repair and we thought it was all done and dusted, and we trusted EQC, we trusted the builders that did the work, we trusted Fletcher's who was managing it. But yeah, then once we got a bit down the track, things weren't fixed and it became quite obvious that there was all sorts of issues. Probably one of the biggest struggles for me is the fact that the only thing we really want to do is make sure the house is repaired properly, not just for us but for anybody that has it in the future. And at the moment, that's probably the thing that's the hardest to do. And in some ways, that's what makes this quite tough, is because you feel like by trying to do the right thing, you're actually picking the most difficult path.
It seems like the logical thing to do, fix the house properly.
Yeah, you would hope so, but it's just not quite set up that way to really facilitate that.
And homeowners like Frances can't walk away from their claims. But EQC's Deputy Chief Executive Renee Walker is calling it quits. So given the large number of people who still have earthquake insurance claims with EQC, I asked Ms Walker why.
I've just decided that it's time for me to do something different. I've worked in the earthquake recovery space for 9 years, and as you can see tonight, it's not always easy. I think I'm really proud of what I've personally achieved, but also what we've achieved at EQC over the last 12 months. We've got the on-sold policy up and implemented. We've got Southern Response transitioned in. The culture, I think, feels very different, and I'm really proud of that. But I think it is time for me to do something different and for other people to be able to carry that forward.
Renee Walker hopes those 1,600 claims currently with EQC will number below 1,000 by the time she leaves in May. But as the room empties and everyone goes home, these homeowners hope this might be the last public meeting they will have to attend, and the end might at long last be in sight. In Christchurch for Checkpoint, Logan Church.